Hello, this is the weekly Tradecast. I'm Sarah Toms. This year is a big milestone for UN trade and development as we mark 60 years of transforming lives and building brighter futures. As part of the celebrations, the weekly Tradecast is featuring a series of special episodes. Join us in June for insightful stories on our evolution and impact over the last 6 decades, and even more positive changes in the next 60 years. Coming up now, Virginia Dignum talks about the vital knowledge we need and the implications of emerging technologies.
The idea that AI is going to solve all our problems, it is a misconception because it can help us solve our problems, but we are the ones who need to take the responsibility and the action to do it.
This week, we're talking about the importance of science, technology, and innovation for global development and our future. Artificial intelligence is very much in the news, but it's just one of many emerging technologies with huge implications for our economies, our societies, and the environment. So how do we create benefits that are inclusive and sustainable? How do we plan for a future that's evolving so rapidly? Well, we have a special guest today to explore the disruptions, opportunities, and innovations that are transforming our world and our lives. Virginia Dignum is director of the AI Policy Lab at Umea University, and she's also a member of the UN's AI Advisory Board. She contributes her expertise to the UN's Commission on Science and Technology for Development. Well, welcome, Virginia. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
Virginia, science and technology have long been drivers of development throughout history. So what's so significant or different about the changes that are happening now?
The main difference is the scope and the size of it. AI and all the technological developments at this moment really have the capacity at instantaneously affect everybody. And in that sense, the speed of change and the capacity of spreading change in the speeds that we are seeing nowadays, that I think is the main change that we can see comparatively with previous times. Previous times we had more time to adapt, and now we have to adapt on the run because as we adapt, things are changing.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about AI?
I would say is that it is intelligent. And because we call it AI, we call it artificial intelligence, then we tend to think of it as something which is similar to us in terms of the way it reasons, the way it takes decisions and so on. And yes, indeed, it is able to take decisions, but we need to understand that it does take decision and does understand the world in a very different way than we do. And at the same time, it doesn't really do nothing if not in interaction with us. So we need to look at it much more as a social technical ecosystem than just a specific type of technology. Without people, AI doesn't work. The idea that AI is going to solve all our problems, it is a misconception because it can help us solve our problems, but we are the ones who need to take the responsibility and the action to do it.
What would you say worries you the most and also encourages you most about the changes that are happening now in science and technology?
The possibilities and the way that in AI is able, and as people using AI will be able to solve and to address many of the complex issues that we have around. It's what drives me. So how can we make it and put this technology to the use of humanity in a way that it will help us solve very many of the complex problems that we are facing at the moment. But at the same time, if we let the development of AI and the governance of AI in the hands of very few, which is what's happening at the moment, so most of the development and a lot of the decisions about what type of AI, how AI is going to be used, is in the hands of very few, is in the hands of private companies, is in the hands of very limited and very minority group of people. That is worrying because we do need to make AI and the capacities and the possibilities that we create by employing AI available and beneficial for the whole world.
What fields would you say have the most potential for disruption and opportunity from emerging technologies?
Oh, in a sense, I think that almost every field will have.
Really?
Yes, AI is a supporting technology. It's a technology that can be employed for any field, any situation in which decision-making, problem-solving is an issue. So if we want to solve problems, AI can be a tool to help us solving those problems, because it will be able to take into account a much larger amount of information, of data, of understanding many more complexities and many more connections in complex patterns than what we are. So then can help us, point us to potential other directions that we would not see ourselves. So in any field, we can in principle use AI. But of course, there are fields in which the use of AI are probably more problematic than others. Thinking about the military field or the defense field is one in which the implications are much more problematic, let's say. But also in other fields, we see that if we are not really using AI from the perspective of inclusion, of fairness, of justice, if we are not using AI aligned with universal human rights, then problems can happen that are as potentially as problematic as in the military field, for instance.
You talk about universal humanity. Are we ready for all of this? And what do we need to think about in terms of education and skills and upheavals in economies and societies?
In a sense, every technological revolution or evolution that we have seen so far, we are never ready. It's a new thing, it's a new development, it's a new capabilities, and therefore we have to make ready as we go. Indeed, education is a very important one, so we do need to understand education and incentivize efforts in education to make a possibility to not only to understand what AI is and what AI is not, but also to maximize the possibilities of using AI for the benefit of humanity. But in particular, I think it's very important to focus on the training and awareness of those that are at this moment in a position of decision making. So policymakers, governments, international organizations, those are the ones who have the capability to direct where we are going with AI or not. And there I see that there is an urgent need for much more awareness, much more understanding.
We do hear a lot about the digital divide. And there's also a data divide, isn't there? Why is data so connected to development?
To answer this question, we need to have a little bit of understanding how AI systems work. So looking at the huge amount of data and finding that there are connections here and there between points in the data that we ourselves would not see. But so then those patterns are going to help the system to take decisions or to take some actions because it can see some connection between you and me that we would not really see, and then would assume that if something worked for me, it probably could work for you as well. And that is exactly the data divide. Some, and mostly, and for a large part, in the global North, are much more represented in the data sets that we have at our disposal than those in the global South. And therefore, the decisions will be much more precise, and those that cannot be observed, but are kind of estimated or correlated by the system. And then the issues and problems can come from there. And the difference is not just only between global South and global North, but some groups, some demographics are also much less represented on the data. Children are typically not enoughly represented on the data, which then leads to estimation of a children, for instance, in healthcare, as a small adult or a 1/5 of an adult or 1/6 of an adult. And that might lead to very strange decisions about that specific demographic because the data is not sufficient.
So what can we do to be a bit more inclusive, both in the digital and also the data divide?
So education is one. The other one is also to make much more efforts to create data sets that are much better representative of the group of the demographic that is supposed to be represented. And that connects also to another problem of AI, that of the sustainability. We also need, from a scientific perspective, start thinking about other ways of developing these systems that are not so data intensive. We do need to reduce our dependency on the huge amount of data. It is not sustainable for the world to create larger and larger and larger and larger data sets.
Now, a lot of AI experts have spoken about a doomsday scenario. Do you share these views?
I would say that the doomsday scenario is not the direct consequence of AI. It is about us, people using AI for a wrong purpose. AI in itself is a technology. And as a technology, even though the systems are what we consider intelligent, and therefore, because we talk about them as intelligent, it's very easy to assign and ascribe to it many more characteristics of people. But these systems by themselves, they have no intention one way or another. We do have intentions, and we put our intentions in the way that we develop the systems, but also in the way that we use the system. So I'm much more concerned about the wrong people using AI for the wrong purpose than AI itself going rogue.
Where do you see the innovations taking us? What will our lives be like in another 20, 30 years?
We will see a big change in the way that we work. A lot of tasks that we have will change. So the task of summarizing a piece of text, improved searches on the internet for content, all those tasks will change. It's not that the systems or AI will replace us, but these tasks will enhance our capacities of working. But by enhancing our capacities of working, we'll also change the way we work. Already now we don't have what we had like 50 years ago of rooms full of typists just copying and writing letters because we can do that in a much more efficient, if you want, or in a different way, if you want. So those changes we'll see, and all of us at all levels will see this type of changes. What I think it's very important is to create the capacities for the labor force to adapt to the changes, and also to create the new type of jobs in which we can continue our contribution and our value to society in a way that we benefit as most from this type of technology. One of the examples that often is given of a job that will be replaced by AI is that of a radiologist. AI becomes increasingly better than people at identifying diseases or issues on scans and X-rays. But I don't think that we will see the case in which AI will completely replace radiologists, but those radiologists that are able to work with AI will replace the ones who are not. And there is again a case for education, for awareness, for training.
Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful talking to you. That was Virginia Dignum, Director of the AI Policy Lab at Umea University, who was this week's guest. Tune into the weekly Tradecast next week and every week for more insights on the most pressing issues around the world of trade and development. And there's even more on our website, unctad.org. I'm Sarah Toms in Geneva. Goodbye for now.